I'll ask anybody's question but yours. You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
Welcome to this week's edition of Disloyal Idiots, a Syracuse Orange podcast. It's emergency pod time?
Oh, it's definitely emergency pod time if you couldn't tell already, given the fact that we're still trying to adjust to our new setup here on the Fans First Sports Network. But we'll get there eventually. Christian Guzman here alongside Steve Haller and Mike Ostrowski joining us today as Andy Pregler is parts unknown right now. And we attempt to have him join us at some point later in the season when we actually get started with football season in Hess when training camp starts in probably just about a month's time, which is hard to believe that we're only about a month away from training camp getting underway. But the reason we gather here today is an important one for Syracuse football and just Syracuse athletics in general, as unfortunately we probably don't have the way to get the almighty spreadsheet up online for Steve right now. But it's important to note that the reason we mentioned the spreadsheet is because Syracuse, if you haven't already known, Syracuse football has landed one of its highest rated high school recruits in history with the commitment of Calvin Russell, a wide receiver from Florida, a 5-star recruit by On3 and 24/7, widely regarded as one of the top players in the class of 2026. And Steve, if you are watching our live stream, Steve has pulled up the almighty spreadsheet. If you're just considering high school recruits, he is the third highest one that Syracuse, should he come to on campus, he'll be the third highest high school recruit that Syracuse has gotten directly from high school, following Cecil Howard and Johnny Morant.
Yeah, which is mildly insane. So easily the highest rated recruit in 24 years. Morant was, I should look at the sheet that's right in front of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember I was in high school when Johnny Morant committed. So yeah, that's how long ago that was, because as we know, Steve is old.
Yep.
Also, for anyone who's watching and they may not have heard him speak yet, we do have the guest host extraordinaire, Mike Ostrowski, joining us for this one. So, Mike, how's the what are the thoughts from recent grads on what we've got going here? Also, mind any technical difficulties because we're using new software that we have no clue what we're doing with.
We are using new software, but I can kind of give a lot of new grad, technically new grad stuff as well. Just, of course, Steve is old. I'm of the younger generation-ish, even though I'm slightly getting older now. It feels like it matches a lot of the online hype that we've seen, and obviously this recruitment generated a lot of online buzz to see that. You know, just even coming from other places, especially from the Michigan fan boards, as you could probably imagine, that, hey, oh my God, Syracuse beat out Michigan for a 5-star. What kind of twisted world are we living in?
Oh, the meltdown has been utterly amazing. It's just to see people react to someone selecting Syracuse over a quote-unquote blue blood, it's mildly insane. I mean, it's insane from us for it happening to us, but watching the way the college football sphere is imploding because of it is even better.
It shows, again, just such different tracks of where we are in football recruiting right now. It shows you kind of also what people are starting to value. I know with EA College Football 26 now out, people are going back to once again learning about, the three main things that a recruit wants out of a school. And coaching relationships is one of the biggest things that, is most deciding some of these recruits.
Yeah.
Because there's no doubt that Michigan and Oregon and Florida State have the better facilities, have the better donor backing, probably have the bigger budget that could probably support the demands of a five-star recruit. But for some of these kids right now, yes, money can be a factor, but the other thing that's being talked about, and something that was mentioned by Russell to, I believe, Syracuse.com, was the personal relationship that he had built with Fran Brown, and that being the reason why, in the coming time to his recruitment, Russell decided he was going to go to Syracuse over who was presumed to be the runner-up in the option in Michigan.
Yeah, and it came down to those two, and then also Oregon and Florida State. Were
Yes.
Florida State also wonderfully melting down, similar to the Michigan fans, which is just icing on the cake. I don't even know where to go. It's like, do we go to the Fran Brown of it? Do we go to what his impact on the roster may be if he does show when he does show up on campus? Because the big difference that I think can be said about this commitment compared to a lot of high-profile early commits that we get is this guy already had offers from everybody.
Yes.
And was already courted by everybody.
And
It's
it
not
feels
like-
yeah.
What's that?
It feels like also, I think we saw, it was either in Syracuse.com or some other places as well that reported this. It feels like, based on what they've reported and what Russell has said to these outlets, that his recruitment is closed and that he is fully intending on signing with Syracuse come December.
Right. Like he's a high enough caliber recruit that he's already had the bag thrown at him from all the big names. You know, Bama was on him, Georgia was on him, all these other schools that we mentioned were on him. It's not like one of the guys that commits to us, you know, but on the spreadsheet I had Isaiah Williams on there still, even though he was a decommit. You know, we were on him early, he committed, and then Ole Miss and everybody else threw the bag at him. And that's not the case with Russell. Like, we're in the mix with all the other big names when it came down to it, and we still beat them out.
It goes to show you again, like how it is one of the big reasons. It is the thing that we should shift towards in our discussion of this topic, is how Fran Brown and his staff is winning these recruiting battles, and how they're being mentioned time after time in the final categories of many of these high-profile recruits.
Yeah.
Like if you consider for, I think it was Messiah Hampton is his name, the number one receiver in New York from Rochester, would have come to Syracuse if Ross Douglas had decided to stay with the Orange and not move over to Oregon.
Right.
And that was a large part due to the relationship he built with Douglas.
Yeah.
It shows you kind of, and Ross Douglas, while he's got the great NFL pedigree, also has the pedigree of building the relationships much like Fran did at Syracuse and in his previous stops. So you can imagine that Douglas built on that as well in Syracuse and allowed him to develop the recruiting chops that have brought talent into Syracuse and now bringing his talents to Oregon as well.
Yeah, so we're already seeing, you know, Fran and Fran's staff, you know, making impacts, making waves, even to the point of someone following them across the country. What does this say for Fran Brown?
I mean, Kevin already put it in his initial article for Russell's commitment, which was you need to extend the man and you need to extend him yesterday.
Yeah.
Because, and Kevin also mentioned it in his article yesterday on our sister site News Magician, is Dino Babers, when he came here, you heard the theory that he preached every single time. It was belief without evidence.
Yep.
As Kevin said, you now have Fran showing you the evidence.
Right.
Which
you
is
don't
a lot
need to believe without the evidence.
Exactly.
You can just look at the evidence.
Mm-hmm. And that was important to immediately get fans on board right away. And the big thing is, yes, the 10-3 season helps, I don't remember a coach who had this much support this quickly from the fan base, which has also shown the administration that, okay, we need to show enough backing, at least initially, to our new head coach to give them the support that they need in order to make the moves that they want.
Yeah. No, it's. I don't know. I'm still just. It's funny because when all this broke, I was in New Hampshire at my sister's house. We were visiting her for the long weekend. I'm, of course, sitting around a fire, staring at my phone at 9 o'clock at night because I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
And hoping against hope. And it was just like, it was still surreal until I got back and, around others. Like even today at work, the number of people that were, messaging me or randomly discussing this. Like Fran has got the cultural zeitgeist around here, running rampant over everything he's doing. And I don't know what we need to do to lock him up, like Kevin's saying, for as long as you can, or at least put in a safety valve for when somebody throws a real large amount of money at him from a blue blood school. Everything he's said is that he's wants to stay in the Northeast, wants to build a Northeast program, but you still need to put in that failsafe in case.
Based on what seems to be the reported numbers that were being reported out, remember Syracuse is a private school, so we don't know all of this information. But based on what we know, assume the numbers to be, it almost feels like the Dino extension that he received after the Bull win in 2018 is probably what you should give to Fran yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, and even if you don't give him that, like restructure it so that you get a smaller bump with more incentives.
That, yeah, I
Like,
mean that's what, and when you see like a lot of the public schools, when you see a lot of the public schools like show off what the contracts are for, not necessarily show off, but when you see the public schools reveal what the contracts are for, their head coaches that they hire, a lot of it is, also tied up in bonus money. There's a
right.
lot of bonuses and a lot of incentives that are given to these coaches. So that's one way you can, for Fran to earn and make up the deficit in maybe a restructured salary. And then obviously the big thing is the buyout that you're probably thinking about as well.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you bump the buyout, you add a bunch of incentives, give him a nice pay boost.
Yeah, you don't put in a $1 million buyout to an NFL team in the contract.
Right. Yeah, funny how that leaves you in a weird spot and having to hire your defensive coordinator.
Close enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, I want more of this in my veins.
Yeah.
It's just impressive to see and something we have literally never seen.
I will say it's a little bit hard to talk about what Russell can bring to the football team. I know that was one of the topics you've talked about because obviously we don't know too much
Right.
about him. What I will say is that one of the things that we've seen is that Syracuse has actually gotten a lot of players in from Northwestern High School in Florida. And if that high school name is sounding familiar to you, that is the high school that Teddy Bridgewater went back to be the head coach of that football program for a year. And they had a perfect season, if I recall correctly.
Sounds right.
So,
And also the high school of current wide receiver. Oh God.
there's quite a few of them from this team. So from what I remember correctly,
2025 targets.
As
Darian
Steve,
Williams. That's what it was.
yes, as Steve returns to the spreadsheet.
No, it wasn't Darian Williams.
Yeah, that Darian Williams
is
is
local.
CBA Syracuse, my friend.
It was another Darian of some sort. One of the 25 recruits is from his high school. He
Yes,
was literally standing next to him at the reveal.
and that works. Hmm.
Yeah, comes in handy.
Mhm.
Apparently, they also have a 4-star DN that they're all trying to.
They're all trying. Apparently, they're
Prentice.
all trying to flip, which is really really funny. And I mean, the Florida vibes are also very 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 strong with Calvin Russell joining in, and you got to give a lot of big shout outs also to Tommy Caporale, the Syracuse,
Absolutely.
the new Syracuse general manager who took over um, for the in this past off season. And Tommy, for those who don't know, has a base in Florida, as a base, uh, his main recruiting base for Syracuse when he was working for Syracuse was back in Florida. So you can already see the dividends of the personnel moves paying off for Syracuse.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that as well just by, in general, like especially in the class of 26, how many recruits from that class are also just from Florida in general? And even in the class of 25, so many recruits are from Florida as well. And how Syracuse has, yes, wanted to recruit backyard, as they say. You've got so many players from the local area who've decided to stay and come to Syracuse. You're thinking you're Darian Williams from CBA. And, players like those to, come to Syracuse instead of going elsewhere. But it's important to recruit the nation hotspots as well. And Florida and Georgia are obviously areas that Syracuse has built some ground in. And because of that, guess what?
Right. So we've got a former 5-star coming in at receiver, or that came in at receiver, in Jonte Cook.
Oh, yeah.
We have a potential 5-star coming to campus next year in Kelvin Russell.
Mm-hmm.
We have Demetrius Samuel, who was a high 4 that's a year younger than everyone else in the world at his
Exactly.
position.
Potential's there.
Those 3, just looking at them, including, and you include Kyle McCord in that is your 3, 4, and 5, and 6 rated recruits in Syracuse history. So whatever Fran is doing is working.
This kind of ties nicely into things that happened today, which is EA College Football 26 getting released early for the people who have got the deluxe version, of which I am one of them.
I'm still debating whether I'm going deluxe or regular. I'd assume if I don't have the time to play it today, tomorrow, or
Yeah, you go regular.
Wednesday, I'll just go regular.
Whereas in my case, I am making content for News Magician, so I got
Right.
the deluxe version. Which means, kind of to also put, perspective as well. You, Steve, you probably don't know this. Who's the highest rated player in EA College Football 26 for Syracuse?
I have no idea.
It is Devin Grant at an 85.
Really? Okay.
Yes. 85 is a 5 rating increase from his starting rating last season.
Right.
And right now that would put him tied for 4th if that he received that rating last year on last year's team, because Arande, Justin Barrett, and Marlo Wax were all
Wax,
rated
okay.
above them.
Yep. Huh.
Your highest rated offensive player is actually Dan Valori.
Thunder Dan. All
He's
right.
at an 83. And then you get Jonte Cook at an 82.
Huh.
Yeah.
Which seems odd. What do we know what Cook was last year?
I don't remember, and I don't have the time to look that up. So for those who don't know, because this will tie nicely in for a lot of us, Devin Grant leads the way with an 85. Deuce Chestnut's right behind him with an 84. Then you have Dan Valori at an 83. Cal transfer and 8th-year college player David Reese is at an 83 as well. Jonte Cook at an 82. Punters are people too. Jack Stonehouse is also at an 82, tying him with Jonte Cook. And then Daryl Gill Jr. and Justice Ross Simmons round out some of the 80s. Daryl Gill is at an 81. Justice Ross Simmons is at an 80. UNC offensive lineman Zach Rice checks in as an 80, with the game listing him as a center, which is interesting to note. And then to round out the 80s, Yassine Willis is an 80 rated.
Wow. All right. Yeah, that's I'll slightly confusing, but I'll take those.
For those who are wondering, the quarterback, Steve Angeli, is the highest rated Syracuse quarterback at a 79. Ricky Collins is a 77 in the game.
Right. So not too much gap between them.
No.
We're not getting the McCord bump, but we're
Again,
doing
for
good
context, McCord was an 85 last year at the
Right.
start of the game.
um,
And to, again, tie everything nicely together. Currently, Demetrius Samuel Jr. is a 78,
as
tied
a
with Davian
17-year-old.
Kerr for the highest rated cornerback on the team.
Okay. Oh God, that's still going to be so weird. to
Yes,
see.
remember, this kid is 17 years old, and he's a 78 rated on
Was
College
he
Football
was
25.
he 16 when he showed up on campus?
He was 16 when he showed up
Yeah,
on campus.
that's what I
His
thought.
birthday was April 2nd or April 3rd.
That's
It might have even
crazy.
been April Fool's. But
So
it was early April, and he turned 17 on campus in early April. Because remember, Samuel reclassified from 26 to 25.
right. Yeah, because it was him and Isaiah Williams that were the early,
The early big
Yeah.
names.
and then Samuel decommitted, committed to Florida,
Yeah.
and then decommitted from Florida after he reclassified and came to us.
Yes.
That all totally makes sense.
Indeed, it really does make sense. Also, because they haven't updated rosters, Mark Petrie is actually still in this game as well, and he's a 79.
Yep. Yeah, so what did we? Does Ferguson, the Florida State guy, have a?
Ferguson, I believe, was high 70s.
Okay.
I'm going to stall while I boot up the game.
Because we got in, well, actually, and since we're talking transfers, one thing to mention earlier today, King Joseph Edwards did enter the transfer portal out on this weird 1 month transfer window thing is.
So I'm not sure what exactly it is, but it all stems from the new House resolution. Because as everyone's inserting, roster limits and whatnot, and scholarship limits, so stuff like that. So because of that, the House is essentially allowing people to transfer during this window if they want to, especially since teams are going to start trying to comply with new roster limits and stuff like that. It's interesting. You'll see. So now that you know Demetrius Samuel is at 78, it'll be interesting to see when Calvin Russell gets into the game where his rating would be amongst the Syracuse players
Yeah, that'll be
next season.
That'll be interesting.
As you might also remember, for some fans, you couldn't play as coaches last year, but this year you can. And so, with the level cap now at 100, Fran Brown is a level 41 coach.
All right. What would someone like Dabo be?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked yet because I've only been focused on Syracuse because go SU, go SU.
Fair enough.
So to satiate Steve's questions about his current team right now and his offensive line, Steve and I have more offensive line talk to come after this for a project that we are working on News Magician right now.
Sorry,
Steve,
I'm
you seem
playing
scared.
with overlays.
Okay, yeah. No, okay. Yeah, but Steve and I will be talking about later about offensive line in a series of articles that you'll see on News Position soon that will tie in nicely, and you'll figure those out soon once we start putting those articles together. You're right now, according to EA College Football 26, your starting left tackle is Travion Mack at a 74. Nikhil Bertrand is right behind him at a 73, and Cam Pringle, the South Carolina transfer, is a 72 overall.
That seems low.
At left guard is Austin Collins, the Louisville transfer, at a 75. There is actually one higher rated left guard with him, and that is TJ Ferguson at a 78. So
Okay.
right now the game has Austin Collins listed as the starting left guard, but TJ Collins is at 78, so a little bit higher than Austin Collins, with Josh Miller only right behind them at a 74. The starting center
Which
is
I want to say Miller was a 74 last year.
something like that. You were in
Yeah.
the 70s, yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Petrie was the starting center, obviously won't be anymore due to his ACL injury. Zach Rice is right behind him, so you imagine that, yeah, according to EA College Football's eyes, he gets the nod at center with Patrick Alberga right behind him.
The transfer from the other Carolina.
Joe Cruz is your starting right guard. I do not know the other two. I'm assuming they're creative players.
What they go with for names?
Jermichael Tompkins and Jaden Mann.
You know.
I don't think so. If they are real players, sorry. I do deeply apologize.
Pulling up the roster just so that we can make sense or make.
If they're incoming freshmen, unless they enrolled early, they're not going to be there. And Demetrius Weatherspoon, as you know, is the right tackle, as you can imagine.
Yeah, no, none of those people are on the roster,
Exactly.
so-
So we are getting very, very close to training camp stuff with football, just because in general, there's just been a lot that has happened. I know we've been in this off-season mode here on the Disloyal Idiots podcast, but of course we had to come on just to talk about Calvin Russell in general, and just talk about the insane things that Fran Brown has done. When you look at it right now in the class of 2026, when Calvin Russell committed to the Orange, he vaulted Syracuse's class up to number 20, I believe, at the time, in
Yeah, we are
24/7's
currently number
ranks.
20.
Say again?
We are currently number 20.
We are still 20. Great. Which is, again, for Syracuse, stratospheric. And essentially, and also, it's impressive, especially just with, you assume the number is going to go down, but that's because a lot of the ranking is also just made up of the volume of number of players that Syracuse has had committed already to
Currently
their
we have-
class of 2026.
Right. Currently, we have 21 3-stars, and technically, it'd be on every other service except for 24/7, 4 4-stars and 1 5-star.
That would do it.
So we're currently ranked number 20th on 24/7, where he's not ranked 5-star.
No, he is ranked 5-star on 24/7. Yeah, he's also ranked 5-star on 3. He's not ranked. He's only 4-star on ESPN and Rivals. I believe.
So I wonder why they must not have. They must have just not updated
Yeah.
this sheet on the Q's 24/7 page. Yeah, our 2 highest recruits are both receivers.
Yep.
Amari Go and Kelvin Russell.
Yep.
And Darnell Stokes is top 5.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're looking to continue to pass the ball, it sounds like.
Yeah. Right now, On 3 has the class at a 27. At 37 overall.
37?
Yeah, 37 by On 3's ranking.
That seems excessively low.
On 3's composite has them at a 5-star in terms of their composite rankings.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I forgot we got Carter Bashir out of Newman Goretti. I wonder if he's related to Scoop.
Oh
He
yes,
is.
you were asking about this as well.
Uh,
It's
Yep.
going to be an interesting time for Syracuse football. You just have to remember to take the schedule into account.
oh yeah. I mean, this year, if Fran makes it to a bowl game, that means we had to win one of Tennessee, Notre Dame away, Clemson away, North Carolina away, SMU away, and there was another one. Like what? I can't remember what the 6th was, but it's like we have 6 games that are just about no win. So you have to get
Miami
above-
away.
Miami away. That's what it was.
Mhm.
Yeah. No.
And also throw in Georgia Tech away as well. That's no gimme.
Yeah. True. Yeah, we're doing things with this schedule.
Indeed. The word things is being used loosely here.
Yeah. Have they done strength of schedule rankings yet?
There were some preliminary ones. I forget where exactly Syracuse is with something that I had posted in our Slack channel a couple of weeks ago at this point. But I can confirm, based on the rankings that I saw in that tweet, Syracuse has the toughest schedule in the ACC.
That sounds right.
Yeah. It was around the same time I told everyone, holy crap, Byron Washington is really huge.
Yeah, he's a very, very large human being.
Exactly.
Yeah, as it was January, so that's not quite as up to date. Never mind.
Exactly.
Disregard.
Here, I got it from Kelly Ford. I found the tweet in our Slack. Yes, Syracuse 16th hardest ranked schedule. Again, the highest ACC school. The next highest ACC school is Florida State at 24.
Yeah, we're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we'll make the best of it.
Indeed,
See what
indeed,
happens.
indeed. I think that will do it for a relatively short emergency pod. There's still a lot of off season left to go, and we'll start kicking things off when we start learning more about the team during training camp, which should get started in about a month's time.
Yeah, and as we see more news pop up, you'll start seeing us more and more frequently, I'd assume.
Stick around on our sister website, newsmagician.com. We're currently smack dab in the middle of our Get to Know Your Orange Man series, where we do a player profile on every single Orange football player throughout the summer. And of course, there are a lot of various news items that are coming out, whether it's football related, basketball related when it comes to TBT starting up at the end of the month, and also on my side, college football 26 coming out as well.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. Well, but for now, that's our emergency pod on Calvin Russell joining the Syracuse Orange, one of the highest rated recruits out of high school to ever come out of, to ever join the Orange, and the first one in a while to be a 5-star to commit to the Orange out of high school directly.
Absolutely.
Thank you all so much for listening. If you're watching on your live stream of choice, thank you so much. Leave a like, rating, subscription, whatever it may be. So when we get into the thick of it during football season, you'll be able to watch along live with us on most Sundays at 8 p.m. If you're listening on your podcast platform of your choice, leave a like, rating, review, subscription, and leave a comment to trick the algorithm so that we can expand the Ottoman Empire. A 5-star to Syracuse. That means the world is burning soon.
Crazy.
All you can do is sigh and say, go Orange.
Go Orange. Now I got to figure out how to turn this off.